What's up, lads? You're the Budget Monk, and this is another battle report style video here of our epic run 64 years in and 13 and a half hours IRL here. This is the state of Hungary, 1508, and happy to report we are the greatest power in the world. Having an institution advantage over Ming, but our subjects are so... You can see my own development is only half of Ming's, but meanwhile we have the same amount, roughly, from half of our subjects' development. So if we go ahead and go to the diplomat mode, there she is, boys. There she is. Not only a nice thick-looking Hungary, in my opinion, but Naples, Austria, Bohemia, who also self-autonomously expanded here into Saxony. Very nice. Loving that Woodlands fort there. Poland, Lithuania as our personal unions, all the way down to one vassal right now, currently with Byzantium, and two powerful allies, three allies, maybe Muscovy not so powerful. Not powerful for a Muscovy, but he is pretty strong overall. And yeah, that's the current situation. I mean, we are, as per usual, it seems, when I make these videos, we're at 0 manpower. We do go up and down on manpower. We're not exclusively at 0, but we've had a very war-ravaged history so far. But I think that is kind of coming to an end as I just hit peace. Our aggressive expansion is very high, but also completely manageable with our excessive amounts of diplomats here, diplomatic ideas, and a Hungarian missionary diplomat for the entirety of the game. Of course, kingdom government rank, giving us a total of 6 diplomats. So you can see how high my AE has been with many of these Germans, and exploiting the fact we have diplomats by just keeping my relations topped off. But this coalition is, it's basically non-existent. This is how small it has been compared to our diplomacy. What a joke. The only reason it formed is because I was fighting a fairly difficult war according to the AI, and my manpower was down. But we are essentially done in Europe here against the Catholics, with the exception of desiring these 2 provinces from Venice, and slowly picking Venice apart. That's where I'm going to dedicate my Catholic aggressive expansion slowly over time, but we're going to look towards continuing to further crusade into the Muslim countries. So I'm absolutely stoked by how this is going. As far as I'm concerned, we'll keep Venice at truce and keep maxing relations with these guys until they leave the coalition and actually remain outside of the coalition. So that's going perfectly well. We only just recently PU'd Austria, I think 2 years ago, meaning that I can't integrate him. So regrettably a little bit late on the predicted formation of Austria and switching to those missions, but all in all, feeling fantastic. And I literally am trying to chill here, guys, until my next war with the Ottomans, which you can see is 5 years away. So, I mean, we're going to end up having about 35,000 manpower at least going into that war, which is going to be absolutely amazing. Imagine actually having a positive balance also, by the way, because not only have we been struggling financially all game long, we have been doing a good job considering, but that's with a deficit. We're now in the positive, beginning to build our trade up, not only in Pest, but in Constantinople as well, as we're transferring trade power from Byzantium, working towards that pseudo-end node, and yeah, that's going to allow us to put courthouses down on our country to manage our governing capacity, which is going to be really important. But the reason I'm so stoked is because we have a lot of projected income in the future due to siphon income off of our personal unions. So you can see Lithuania has Moldavia here. Moldavia is a bottleneck for a mission to actually PU Poland, which is this one. So I have to go in there. But the reason that we handed this off is because I actually don't want the Cossack estate. It takes away from your crownland. This selling titles has been what's keeping me afloat financially as Hungary, and we're not doing too hot in crownland. If we were to get the Cossacks, we would have to divide our land between that institution and there would be more issues there as well, which I don't particularly want to go into. But you can own this territory, aka integrate Moldavia, and you do not get the Cossacks estate until the end of the month. That is part of the reason we handed this off to Lithuania, but we are going to work towards integrating these nations, but not Lithuania. Lithuania's basically his job is to, perhaps we can crusade out here, and we can begin conquering this land, handing it off to Lithuania. But his job is to allow us to keep expanding and not increase our governing capacity. We're going to keep him around. And there are some big advantages to that, like siphoning income. Look how much money he has already. So that's going to be a source of money. One click there, and that's 2 governing capacity buildings, for example. That's where we're at, guys. Feeling really good. Like I said, the Ottoman is the big war upcoming, and he's working towards quantity. So you can see we're very comparable, especially if we just build up, juiced up, ready to go, drilled up armies, etc. But he is going to finish quantity. So he, despite having won 2 wars over him, still he is looking very formidable. But thankfully, the Mamluks are officially stronger than him at the moment. Now, once he finishes quantity, it probably won't be the case. But with the Mamluks on our side, no promised land, but instead favors, I think we're going to have no problem there as well. So the game's popping off really nicely, and that's basically the rundown. For people who don't know, we took religious diplomatic. We're going for offensive ideas next, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this run, guys. Alright, lads, we're going to be talking about what's going wrong with this campaign now. I will say that overall, this campaign is going very well, but you can never have everything going your way, right? So, quickly, I just want to talk about the fact that we are Russian dynasty. Denmark is not, it's a queen regent. We are Russian dynasty. Now, that was actually really good. Really lucky, really good. Normally we would be Russian dynasty, but we would have to work for it. I'm not going to go into that right now for the sake of time, but we are already Russian dynasty via an event. Brilliant, great. What's the problem? We're having the worst Muscovite game ever, basically. It's fairly common that Muscovy does this. Allies Ryazan, and he needs Ryazan to form Russia, and he doesn't form Russia. This happens fairly often, that he can sometimes not form Russia for a long time, or if at all. In our case, we're going to have to sort this out. It's going to be really awkward, but it's going to come down to trying to get into a war of the Great Horde where we can promise him land, which I'm happy to give him, to call him to arms and then get involved in a war with Ryazan where he can't back them up and then break his alliance with Ryazan. Then he can't ally them and then hope that he actually takes the land. As far as to how we're going to do that, it's awfully complicated and there's not an easy way. I have tried to vital interest that to get a claim there at least from Lithuania, or CB rather. It's all very complicated and awkward, but it's not that uncommon for him to do that. What is uncommon is for him to basically just literally die. You're looking at Muscovy, you might think, oh, it's not too bad. Well, see that exiled troop there? This is post a victory against Novgorod. So he took back some cores and one uncored province there with Reconquest CB, strategically avoiding Novgorod itself, which would be one province required to form Russia, the only other province, and not annulling his treaty with Denmark, which is how he's gotten himself in this predicament in the first place. So this is post us carrying him to victory against Novgorod. He's still in terrible shape. So basically, in a nutshell, very weak Russia. It's better than nothing. We're going to make it happen. And like I said, a weak Russia is better than no Russia at all. It's very important that we have the Siberian frontier to occur in general, and particularly if we can enforce religion on him as a PU. And you can see he is taking religious ideas this game, which is pretty nice because he will convert his own country up for the sort of one faith. That is one of the things that is going really badly. I could talk about that forever. But the other is Imereti. If we take a look at the sort of history of the Caucasus here, Imereti appeared to get fully annexed by Trebizond, and then Georgia quickly reconquested this from Trebizond. So Treb probably won in a defensive war. And then coming up here, we will see that, boom, AQ comes in, I guess chunking probably his rival before this war, Georgia, and releasing Imereti. So he takes 3, release Imereti. That's what appears to happen from Georgia. Very interesting and important that he was released from Georgia. Imereti gets full annex for the second time, with Trebizond coming in here, whacking him. But then things turn bad as AQ full annexes him. And if we go to just post 1500 here, boom. With the Ottomans slapping around AQ, Imereti is released from AQ. Now, this is the problem, that he's released from AQ. So what is exactly occurring here? For people who don't know, AQ, being a Muslim, can see pretty much all of Asia. He even knows about Ming. He knows about Ming in a kind of like the sense that we know about Shamar here. He can't really see it all, but he knows they exist. Now, he knows about East Africa, he knows about Arabia, Iran, Central India, Southeast Asia, and even East Asia to an extent, like I said. But predominantly where the Muslims are. Now that Imereti has been released from AQ, he knows everything that AQ knows, as he was a part of AQ in terms of discovery. And the way that this game currently functions is that if any nation within your tech group knows something, well, all nations in the tech group will know that. They will discover it after 50 years. So I don't think it's intended to work in this fashion, but there's a big difference between Eastern and Western tech in that sense, because it is pretty common for this to occur in this part of the Eastern tech group world. Even this, which begins under QQ here, is Armenia, who is Eastern tech. And this is quite a common occurrence. It's quite unrealistic, because the issue here is that it happened in 1505. So in 1555, I will know about Ming, basically. And that's what I mean by quite unrealistic and almost unintentional. You can't really often discern whether these things are features or bugs, but yes, unfortunately, that's quite tragic, and we will know about the whole world. Why is it so significant? Because I'm about to literally ignore my AE with Europeans and just... So what I mean by ignore it is stop expanding into Europeans, and then we're going to ignore AE with Muslims. And I mean in a very different way, where AE is just a number. I'm going to just take land regardless of the ramifications. So therefore, all of the Muslims are going to hate us. So we want... Basically, the Muslims that I can see is what I want to conquer during the Age of Reformation, right? We want to own all of this and forge a huge empire here. But the fact that we don't know about these guys means that they will look the other way. They don't get any Egress expansion. So very upsetting that this has occurred. And no, I don't think that full annexing them actually makes a difference, because I kind of learned about these shenanigans by actually taking the entire coastline of the Ottomans in wars against them, spawning Bulgarian rebels, and letting them walk into Bulgaria, then cleaning up the rebel faction. The rebels walk back, you kill them, and these are permanently occupied, which then makes Bulgaria defect as a country from the Ottomans, which we quickly default an Orthodox country there and incorporate that as well. That is something that you can very effectively do. Also, these are part of Bulgaria as well, despite being Serbian culture. Very effective strategy, which I actually didn't do this time to avoid specifically this happening. So we kind of learned about this bug feature thing in a way where we quickly full annexed Bulgaria. So I don't think killing the nation will actually prevent you from inheriting the knowledge. It seems to work almost retroactively, that if anybody knew about anything at any point, everybody will know about it 50 years later. So it is one of the risks that I knew and did consider here as playing as a Hungary as opposed to Bohemia, as Hungary is an Eastern Tech nation. Just unfortunate that that did go down. All right, and now let's talk about what's going really well. Starting off with the same sort of reference of the Muslims. If we go ahead and look over here, the Iberians are doing a great job. You can see Castile, Aragon, who are unionized, and Portugal, all expanding out here into Muslims. Now, if these were powerful Muslim states, they would ultimately be a big threat, part of the coalition, which we can't really deal with via killing them. You can see out here that Portugal has made Morocco into a status where he's not even a valid rival. However, with this young colonial government type, personality type of his ruler, he is obsessed with this land. You can see the gold and other provinces, trade centers are vital interest out here, and all of the rest is strategic interest. That's due to this colonist government type. So we should expect him to... Now, this is considered overseas because it's not connected via land, and that's what this government type likes. He wants to expand overseas colonies. So that's very good, as it appears as though Portugal is going to eliminate Morocco slowly but surely from the game. So we're looking at actually 3 North Africans if we take him out of the equation. Of course, the Mamelukes, who we will chunk and get a truce with, Tunis, and these guys here, whose name I cannot very well pronounce. Now, also, it's very irritating to deal with an Ottoman who kind of expands faster than you can hurt them. But yeah, as you can see, cleaning up a lot of different tags out here as well. Both the Mamelukes and the Ottomans have made gains. And then we can see AQ surviving and thriving, more or less, right now, being a Shia nation. So makes it much easier to get less aggressive expansion with them, max relations with them, keep them happy, and then, of course, turn against them. But that is really, really strong. So although things are going really well here, the idea is you hope that things go really well here, and Russia kills these Muslims, so that you can basically go for sort of Mir Nostrum plus status, and there's nobody to coalition you. Well, like we said, things are going bad, but I just think the Muslim theater is looking great right now to expand into. And what I'm hoping to do is actually feed Muscovy, whether he is Muscovy, Russia, whether he's an ally or a PU. We just need to touch the Great Horde out here and just feed Muscovy, which of course will give us favors, which we turn into trust. And this is very important because that's the strategy of actually PUing a strong Russia, is that if they have more than 80 trust, so you can turn 10 favors into 5 trust, so we keep giving him land, he gets favors, we keep building our trust up, they cannot rival you. They cannot rival you, and they cannot go hostile relations, etc. So the idea is you want to go all the way up to 100 trust, ideally. So we want to keep feeding him so that our PU prize is better, build our way all the way up to 100 trust, and then break alliance. And despite him being so strong, hopefully Russia is so strong, he cannot rival us. And then you wait for your truce to come down, and all you need is for him to just not have an error at some point, right? And you just go in, boom, PU them. So all in all, not too worried about this theatre, and the Muslim world just looking really, really nice to clean up. But there's more in regards to the religious situation, guys, because the Protestant Reformation has occurred, and so far, 2 southern German centres, and it's looking like, to me, these are 2 one-province minors, we're going to get a 3rd centre here. So this is so far, at least with Protestantism, this is a Reformation completely isolated to Germany, which, to be honest, is the absolute dream. If I could artificially and meticulously manipulate the religions, I would probably wish for sort of a Catholicism here in this block, France, Iberia, Anglicanism, and then sort of Reformed Protestantism here in Central. That's kind of the ideal. And the reason why is because as soon... I'm talking about just going ham on Muslims, right? Ham. They all hate us, but they can't coalition us if they're dead. That's how we want to go. We then want to turn on Germany in particular, Central Europe, Italy to an extent as well. And just the fact that these guys are Protestant means that we will manage aggressive expansion with Western Europe in a better manner. So this is going very well also. I don't want, ideally, Portugal, Spain, England, France coalitioning me alongside, Iran, India, East Africa, Southeast Asia, etc. We want to keep these guys out. So that is going really, really well. And yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I could just run my mouth forever, guys. Neither good nor bad. We are doing well on Diplo, but I am legitimately 2 relations over. Milan appeared to form a republic. He is a republic, guys, but he's going despotism. So he has a despot right now, which is almost guaranteed that he's going to flip back to a monarchy and we can PU him, which was the plan, of course. It's pretty rare in my runs, even though you have the missions, whether you are Austria or Hungary, who turns into Austria. We do technically have the PU against Naples and Milan, but I have struggled to ever get a game where we get both. So far so good here, and hoping to get a nice juicy Milan as well, and it looks like that is going to happen, so that's another good thing. Diplo game going off really well. And I guess one last thing here is, of course, we have this Reconquest CB. Well, the Castilian rival, France, is friendly with us. So far, we have not promised anybody land and betrayed them. And to be honest, even if we wanted to feed Muscovy land, we have so many favors with him. I mean, we could call to arms, give him the land, get favors back. I think I might opt to just quickly ally France in a pinch, dow this war for reconquest here, and just have him basically use France as a war slave because we don't care about him. And I say that in reference to the fact that Castile has allied Venice, which is a little bit annoying, but we could really quickly just break his alliance, take war reps from Venice, who is a big target and threat to us. So that's why I want to deal with this. But of course have France carry us in this war, reconquest, take a very low dev island. I'm happy to state this, core it, whatever, I don't care, because we're doing very, very well in our admin. But this will be somewhere to release Aragon from as soon as Spain forms, giving us, I mean, look at that highlighted land, the reconquest against all of that. Of course, Sicily will already be ours. And we could do all that by promising France land in a pinch and then quickly breaking relations with him after betraying him. So, not 100% convinced we're going to do that anytime soon, but that looks like a good thing as well. I mean, everything's just going really well, guys. Really, really well. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, and lastly, we're going to be talking about the plan. I mean, it should be pretty apparent what I have in mind, and as far as specifics, you need to kind of watch the game yourself. But I want to expand using this religious unity here, or the religious wars, 25% reduced aggressive expansion. We have a total of 45% reduced war school cost against other religions. It is possible with the Council of Trent that you also get a 10% modifier the same way. The Council of Trent will go down soon because of the Reformation. And the idea is basically the double chunk Muslims. So, for example, against the Ottomans, we're going to 100% overextend, but due to the war score cost reduction, we will have a lot more war score remaining, and I will take that land and give it to Byzantium, right? That's the idea, is what I call the double chunk. That is the idea. We're going to expand like crazy. Now, while we expand like crazy, governing capacity is going to become an issue. Now, we have another issue in the future, which is we want to turn our Hussite enclave that we have here into our main religion. The major reason we're not flipping Hussite right now is because you cannot form Prussia unless you are Protestant or Reformed. If you are a Hussite nation, you cannot change your religion, much like Orthodox. So we have to do it later. Now, we're going to combine an awful lot of things here, guys. I've said this on stream many times, but I'll try to explain it for people who don't understand. We're stacking annexation cost reduction modifiers. We have 10% here, 25% from influence. We're going to go offensive influence. You don't need to complete influence, you just need to reach that. That's 35%. We're going to form Austria. Austria has 15 from traditions. That's 60%. Austria has a mission to PU everybody that he wants to PU. Well, guess what? We already have it. The mission pass is 20%, putting us at 80%. I think I've miscounted, but it's around there. And lastly, the parliamentary bonus. I think we get 85% total, so I just messed up my math there, trying to describe all the different modifiers. I believe 85% annexation cost reduction total. from the parliamentary bonus as well. So that's going to be utilized to, of course, annex a lot of our subjects which need annexing, but also particularly a nation who we are going to release. We're not too worried about releasing a nation and then feeding them up, because we will reincorporate them into the country pretty easily with all the modifiers I just mentioned, right? And that nation is going to be Moravia. Releasing Moravia, he has 3 cores here, and they are majority Hussite. So he will be a Hussite nation. Now, as we expand and go over our governing capacity, my plan is to hand off the states up here in regions which are not that valuable to us, and by valuable I mean Ragusa, Constantinople, because we want the pseudo-end node. My plan is to hand off provinces up here to him, which I can then convert via his subjects down here, including subjects. We can convert Catholic land to Hussite land, and the idea is going to be to expand into Muslim, meaning that our overall piece of the pie of Muslim will be fairly high. Then to switch religion to Protestant, convert some land to Protestant. Then to switch religion to Reformed, convert some land that we own to Reformed, form Prussia, and then reincorporate Mazovia. So we'll have a nice Hussite chunk here. Why do I say that? So we'll have Reformed, Catholic land remaining, Hussite, Protestant, maybe some Orthodox, Muslim land. Why? Because falling to the Hussites so late and flipping to Hussite religion requires the Hussite religion to be the dominant culture. So rather than having a nice unified culture, if we had 100% religious unity, if this was all Catholic, I would need half of it to be Hussite in order for the religion to be enforced on us by the rebels. But if we have, let's say, 20%, 10% Orthodox, 20%, 20%, 20%, you get the point. We will need it to be 21% of the country. Sort of that's the rough sort of idea. So that is the plan, to actually convert land to Hussite, reincorporate Mazovia, and have our religion so fractured that it's not very difficult to fall to Hussite religious rebels, which will then kill the Prussian government type, which hurts our governing reform progress, because that requires you, or governing capacity, excuse me, because that requires you to be Protestant or Reformed to keep that Tier 1 modifier, which is then going to allow me to put my Tier 1 modifier back on to the OP Austrian one for free. He has a very powerful government Tier 1, which we will be using. And that's pretty much the plan, guys, is to sort of relocate my country and my states into sort of the Eastern Roman Empire. And keep in mind, we are the Roman Empire. We are rebuilding the Roman Empire. That's what we are doing. And everybody knows that Austrian culture is the historically accurate remnant of Rome, of course. This will be the culture that will be flipped to Roman culture and ultimately consume the world. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about in reference to plan, but I hope that is sufficient there, teasing you guys. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. And I am going to be doing a massively long stream again this weekend, guys. I'm going to be staying up on my Saturday night, which for you guys, most of you guys, is going to be Saturday day. If you guys would like to tune in during the weekend, I said Saturday, I meant Sunday day. I'm ahead here in the future. I'm going to be staying up all night streaming on the weekend on Sunday for most of you guys, and I would love to see you guys there. My stream's been popping off the last 2 streams, and I just wonder if it is the weekend, if I could get even more viewers and basically be sort of a personal record going over 1,000 views. It's going to be chill, it's going to be dominant compared to the early game, which was way more stressful, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is the greatest game of all time, and we're going to achieve our goals. I'm so hyped. I hope you guys are too. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you live, or I'll see you in the next video.